Welcome to another edition of the Dementia Care Partner Talk Show. Now, here's dementia care expert Teepa and your host, Greg Phelps.
Hello and welcome to the Dementia Care Partners podcast, brought to you by Positive Approach to Care and the PAC Annual Conference. I'm your host, Greg Phelps, along with Teepa Snow. And Teepa, I sometimes struggle with what to call you. Like, are you a dementia expert, a dementia innovator, a teacher, or how about this? Dementia curious, because I read just about everything I can get my hands on about dementia, and when I mention something to you, generally you say, oh yeah, that's that study about, and you know where I'm going, and so on. So where I'm going with this is there's so much information available in print, on the internet, on TV. How does one know where to start if you're curious about dementia?
Mm. Greg, I'm thinking, where would I start if I didn't know anything? And the answer for me is, wow, that's been so long ago. It's hard for me to imagine myself not being immersed in the world of dementia. And that makes it hard for me to make suggestions. I guess the place I would hesitate to send someone is a place where they right away identify, okay, that's the person living with dementia, or that's a person that's got dementia, and then here's you, and you're going to be the carer, and that's the other person. Because I think there's an assumption in that if I'm sending you immediately to a place where you're going to get something and the other person is going to get something else, and that's what happens. I always hesitate to send people there first, because my first request of people is to sort of tell me more about what's happening that you're interested in dementia. Tell me where that's coming from, so I can get a sense of what you might be looking for, because the possibilities are like so broad of where you could go. Are you someone who's having some symptoms that you're concerned about? Well, then maybe learning about things that might be dementia, but might not be, what else might be going on. Talking with somebody one-on-one might make more sense than reading about all the possibilities. Or are you looking for more video possibilities, or do you like to read articles? Because for me, it's not a one and done answer. That's always the tricky part for me.
So if you pull the plug, you might actually just open the floodgates and simply get overwhelmed.
That's been my experience with a lot of folks, is sort of like that they get inundated with stuff that people hand them when they get, or they get nothing. They get too much or too little, rather than get really, so tell me a little bit about how you're doing with, and tell me a little bit about the why behind your question to find out more about dementia. Tell me more about that. A real curiosity on the part of someone who knows more to figure out, where is it I should direct you because of what it is you're trying to find out and why. So it's a healthy relationship with the data that's out there. Frankly, there's a lot. There are some support groups that would be a great place to go as a first, maybe. But there are some that I would not have you go to if the person you're caring for is, not even yet diagnosed, because you don't even know that this is exactly where you're going to end up. What if you have an unusual dementia, quote unquote, or one that's not as familiar, like maybe Lewy body or a frontal temporal, or maybe a chronic traumatic encephalopathy? If you have that, where should you go? Well, that's a different place than I would send someone who, has, my mom, who I just came into town, and I'm realizing, she has some changes that I think there's something going on here. That's a real different kind of looking for resources person.
So it's kind of like if a child asks, how does a plane fly? Don't give him the workings on the internal combustion jet engine and the components and how we've evolved jet engines, because he's just going to look at you and go, huh?
Yeah. Or where do babies come from? It's like, well, tell me more about your asking, because until I find out what's the framing of the question, it's hard to know the right place to direct someone or support in their learning, because I think this thing about dementia is it is so complicated. There is so much out there. And so if I send you somewhere and it says, oh, this study about coconut oil. And that's what I send you to. And it's like, actually, I was really curious about, the idea that people who are living with dementia might have artistic talent. And it's like, oh, oops, sorry, you're probably not interested in coconut oil, are you? I mean, or what you should eat or social interact. I mean, so it's really, I think it's more, there's too much out there in some ways, and yet it's not accessible by too many people when you need it or when it would make sense to have it.
So how does one take a baby step?
Yeah, I would say getting up with a group, whether it be Positive Approach to Care, or whether it be Alzheimer's Foundation of America, or whether it's another group, a local group, Area Agency on Aging, who is really curious about you and what is happening for you and what sparked your interest in learning about dementia, so that this is a conversation, not a data dump. So that this is something that is going to be helpful and meaningful and not overwhelming or underwhelming. And so I think that's probably the first baby step that makes sense.
I was just suddenly struck by the similarity of a used car salesman. You walk in and you haven't got any idea what you're looking for, and all of a sudden Slick says, "Hey, you need this brand new and supercharged," and you're overwhelmed. So it's nice to hear you say, find a simple place to begin and grow into it. You don't have to know everything the first day.
No, I mean, even realizing sort of what's the language I should use for this. I mean, just learning about language. So when you say the word dementia, tell me what you're thinking about. I mean, some of those conversations can be really helpful for people who are just really starting out and, suffering with dementia. I mean, that's one that we really say, ooh, I double check and make sure that's what's going on before I make an assumption. And people are like, what do you mean? I mean, people suffer when they have dementia. It's like, well, not everybody all the time. And it's certainly a condition that can cause lots of distress, and it can be challenging, it'd be hard. But to assume someone is suffering with their dementia, or that a family is suffering, I mean, that's really making an assumption, not an assessment. And we're really supportive of figuring things out before we make any kind of judgment call.
Teepa, your website, you've changed it a little bit over the past couple of years. Used to contain all sorts of wonderful nuggets, as did YouTube. You had all sorts of videos. Is that still available broadly to the general public?
It is. A lot of it is, and it's under resources because we consider it free resources. So if one of the first questions we ask you on the website is, what's your relationship with dementia? I'm living with it. I'm a family or friend. I'm a professional. I'm an organization. And when you click on that, it'll show you like menu of possibilities. And one of them is, looking at resources, free videos, YouTubes, written resources, handouts you can have. So our umbrella slide with all the different kinds of dementia under it are a way of looking at how do you approach and engage someone. I mean, so we have all kinds of, what is Lewy body dementia? We have handouts on a whole bunch of things that are readily available. And if you're not sure how to get there, we even have info@teepasnow.com or an 800 number that we encourage people to get on with us on. So they're getting what they need when they need it.
Teepa, thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
Today's podcast is brought to you by the Positive Approach to Care 2022 Annual Conference. PAC promotes function. Use it or lose it. November 13th to 15th in North Carolina. You can attend virtually or in person to learn practical care skills that work. For more information, click on Events, then PAC Conference at our homepage at teepasnow.com.
Hi, I'm Teepa Snow, and you just found our YouTube channel and watched one of our videos. I'm the owner and founder of Positive Approach to Care. Thanks for watching, and if you have a comment about, or you would, please share it with people you know. Oh, and if you haven't yet done it, consider subscribing. We'll let you know when the next new video comes out, and you might want to visit our website, www.teepasnow.com, where you'll find other resources as well. See you there.